ぞれの悲しみがあって言えない涙がある In the rain 見えるものと見えぬもの静かに目を凝らして帰る場所はどこにある心はないこのままそれぞれの行く先があって心に秘密の場所誰も知らぬ朝降り注ぐ光は来るだろうか Even in theそれぞれに幸せがあるの心はそこへ向かうきっとこの胸に降り注ぐ光はあると思う In the
All right, everybody. Hello, Angel. How you doing? Tired of that too long intro again? Yeah, I started a live stream a few minutes ago trying to set everything up, and people got here early and heard the intro. So, guys, I wanted to go ahead and start. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have like 10, 12 minutes of people, if somebody went back and watched this later, they didn't have to wait through or fast forward through 12 minutes of me just setting it up. Guys, this game launched yesterday on Steam. I believe it's a remake or an HD remake of an older visual novel adventure game. I know that a couple people were really excited about it on the Steam forums before it even launched. I do want to reach out and thank the developers for handing me a free copy, evaluation copy for my channel here. So big thanks to them. I also want to say, guys, this is a $40 US currency visual novel on Steam. Very expensive for a visual novel. Is it worth it? Hopefully we'll get a good idea in the first impressions play here. The music looks beautiful. The art style looks amazing. Hopefully the story matches both what the music seems to be and what the art seems to be. And hopefully we have a really good story here in a game. If I go in here, guys, to... where was it? Score? Not score. Album. Here's what it was. So it's going to have the music that you unlock for you to be able to play anytime. But right down here, I noticed that it says ending checks. You have 6 good endings and 3 bad endings. So we know that the game obviously has 9 different endings, which I think is pretty cool. I do want to state right now that I did look on the forums and on the main page on Steam for this game. Sometimes, especially these more expensive visual novels, they have restrictions against playing them online or, streaming the content because they want people to buy the game themselves not go and watch somebody and then not buy it. But I think with 9 different endings, I think we're safe. I didn't find any kind of restrictions against playing it online. So we're going to go ahead and go with it. But if the developer or somebody knows that, hey, you can't play this online, please let me know somehow. Angel says $40 if this isn't the best novel ever. You've been ripped off. Maybe you've paid for the 10-hour intro. Oh my god, Angel. No, I got this game for free, but the developers gave me a copy of this game free just for having a YouTube channel and being cool and having great moderators like you, Angel. Welcome, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started on this game. It does have, I want to let you guys know as well, it does have voice, but it's all in like Japanese. So I've had to go into the options. I think I've adjusted the music down a little bit. I want you guys to be able to hear the music because it sounds really pretty. But I did have to go and turn the voice all the way down to 0. So we're going to get the exciting, mighty Zaxtor 99 voices. And I'll try to change my voice a little bit so you know who's who if I can determine who's saying what. Which sometimes takes me a little bit in these games. Alright guys, let's go ahead and start this game. Now that we get all that out of the way. Looking up in the sky in the rain. Definitely raining. And we got a love letter of some kind. Some kind of letter. Chris, is it raining there? Raining again there. Letters from Ari always started like that. The weather here is nice, as always. So much so that I wish I could share some of it with you. You see, Chris, even talking about the weather reminds me how far away you are. It's so hard. Recently, it occurred to me that we've been living like this for almost 3 years. So, it sounds like it's a long-distance relationship. Sounds like it's a girlfriend. The way she worded that. So she lives a long ways away. It always rains where Chris is. And she misses him, basically. After this month, it will already be next year. And then, after another 2 months, you'll finally be back, right? After I realized that, time seems to have slowed down a little. It was hard right after you left, but it's hard at times like this, too. And now that the day you come back is getting closer, I'm getting kind of scared. Do you think that's strange? I hope that we can spend the end of the year together, like we always do. But you have your performance, so you don't know if you can come yet, do you? Okay, hang on just a second, guys. Let's go in here to up. I want to go into the options and speed this up a little bit, but let's just go ahead and not close window. Escape. Anyway, she doesn't know if he can come yet. Even if I don't know, I'll be free or not. I'll explain more in a letter before Natalie, so make sure you write back too, Chris. That reminds me. Torta wrote me and told me you still haven't decided on a partner for your graduation performance. I don't know, she seemed really worried. Don't you think you should decide soon? I can't wait another year. I'm starting to ramble. To be continued in my next letter. Okay. Love, Arietta. Alright, can I go in? No! Return to title. I can't save. I can't load it. Why not? Yes. I don't care. I have to speed that up. I cannot have that message display going that slow. Let's go there. So anyway, guys, let's go ahead and recap basically what's happening. It's raining outside. Chris gets a letter, and from Ari, or Ariata, always started like that, asking about the weather. Still, that's a little bit better. I think that'll keep up with my reading. So I do have the ability to kind of skip through this quicker. So anyway, she's basically saying she can't wait for him. She needs to make a decision. I'm getting kind of scared. Is that strange? I hope we can spend the end of the year together like we always do, but you have your performance, so I don't know if you can come yet. I don't know if I'll be free or not. I'll explain more before in a letter before Natalie. So make sure you write back. That reminds me, Torta wrote me and told me you still haven't decided on a partner for your graduation performance. I don't know. She seemed really worried. Don't you think you should decide soon? Okay. Don't really understand this completely, but hopefully we will in time. "27th day of November. I took my eyes off the letter and played with the feeling of the letter paper still on my fingertips. Okay. It always took me a little time to recover from the lingering emotions. I just sat there motionless for a while before finally holding up her letter. I carefully put it back in its pretty envelope, just the way it came, and stowed it away in the usual drawer. Ari's letters were so short they could fit on a single piece of paper, but the drawer was now almost full of her letters, as if to show how much time had gone by. Damn. She gave me enough blank paper to fill the drawer and said, "Someday when the drawer is full of my letters to you, you'll come home." Aw, that's pretty cute. To keep the promise I made to her, I perform this ritual once a week, every week. So 1804, it's 6:04 p.m. I closed the door quietly, leaned back in the chair to check the view and the clock. It's already 6 o'clock. Night was closing in. That being said, the scene outside didn't change dramatically. The already gloomy sky just got a little darker. The rain pattered endlessly against the window. I love the sound of the rain. I don't know about you guys. Angel says, Zax, when you read your tempo and such, you should be the offspring of Christopher Walken and Stephen Hawking. So her first full name is Ariata. Yes. We said that in the intro. The Japanese intro is so you can't describe it. Describe what? Is it pretty? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Anyway, what? Somebody else says, what do you mean it's already 6 o'clock? Forney! Hi, Forney. How you doing? That's got to be a girl, right? I can't tell with some of these animation characters. That's got to be a girl. Hurry up and write a reply so we can do in symbols. Yep. I don't know sometimes, guys. I mean, sometimes these Japanese characters, the eyes are a thing where it would tell me it's a girl. Sometimes the hair, sometimes guys in these, especially in these anime characters, can look like girls. Like the hair could be a girl's hair. With her light wings gently cutting the air, Forney floated from the window sill to the desk. Then she gently flitted about the 10 centimeters above its surface. The wings on her back moved restlessly, but it didn't look like they were what made her float. She was a mysterious creature, to be sure. Yeah, I know. The weekly exchange of letters with Ari always went like this. I didn't have much free time. I was just sticking faithfully to it because Ari said, I want to read your replies right away. On the other hand, her letters didn't always arrive right away. When I read a letter and put it in the post the next day, It arrives 2 days later. Since it took 4 days for a round trip, there was no reason to hurry. But the bakery she worked at was popular in our hometown, and successful enough that people would come from far away to shop there on the weekends. She was still in training and had to work hard. She barely had time to sleep. Ari would read my letter that arrived in the middle of the week and write her reply on Friday, her only day off. That letter would get to me on Sunday afternoon. Wow, he gets mail on Sunday? It's pretty interesting. The post office was closed that day, so I could take my time writing a reply. Okay, so he didn't get it till Sunday afternoon, but he says the post office was closed that day. That makes sense. Just as Ari said in her letter, this routine had been going on for almost 3 years. So Forney says, "Yeah, you don't know you don't know anything." Yeah. I finished writing the letter quickly, put it in an envelope, and sealed it. And then I finally turned back to Forney. "Are you finally done?" "Yeah." "Well, I suppose it can't be helped. It is a letter to your girlfriend." Well, that sums it up. I kind of thought it was his girlfriend. I mean, why else would you write letters that religiously every day? That wouldn't be to your sister or your friend, I don't think. Have to be romantic. Forney said this as if half bored and fluttered her wings gently. So she's bored by the fact that I have a girlfriend that I write to all the time, huh? She's bored by a long-distance relationship. Does Forney want me? Is Forney in love with me too? Do I have women problems? Nah, couldn't be. How you doing, Loki? Welcome back. Good to see you. I pulled the Fortel out of the case and carried around school and set it up in the corner. "If you would, please." Forney reached out to me and asked me as she always did. Just as she asked, I let Forney into the palm of my hand and put her on top of the Fortel. Forney's wings didn't work so well, so she was unable to fly any higher than her current position. So Forney is super small, and she flies, or flutters her wings anyway. Apparently she couldn't glide from high to low for a long distance, but getting anywhere far at the same height was impossible. Now then. And then I brought the chair over to Fortel and tried lightly striking a chord. Oh wow. Almost everyone living in my apartment building was a student at the music school like me. And there was a mutual understanding, so I could play without worrying so much, even at night. Shall we begin? Hey, Brookie Bear, how you doing? Good to see you, girl. Angel's here, yes. Welcome, everybody. You guys can flip coins in the chat. Remember, your coin flips are limited to 500 coins, and you are limited to 1 every 2 minutes. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. We have a $40 visual novel here on Steam. Again, thanks to developers for handing me a free copy of this game. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoy this first play. Probably won't go that long. We'll see how it goes. But I do want to go ahead and make this something tolerable to watch for people later on, so it's not 3 hours long or whatever. So anyway, shall we begin? Forney moved her wings lightly while doing her vocal exercises and turned to look at me. Look at her little wings. That's kind of cute. I lightly tensed my fingers, touching the Fortel, and gathered my concentration for the opening notes. Magic. It's required to play this instrument, and while there are differences in strength, it's a power said to have been held by many people long ago. That power suddenly disappeared, instead replaced by an equally mysterious power called electricity, spreading through the world. The Fortel is a glimmer of evidence that magic existed in the past. So, the same song as always? Yeah. I pictured the notes. Then I myself became one of the notes, making up the chords. I became one of the notes, making up the chords. I have a feeling we're going to be doing some kind of gameplay here, guys. So the music is probably going to depend on how well I press keys. And that is not a good thing. This is Zaxtor99. You might be able to correct your top bar background. Maybe. I don't know. Anytime I have to capture a game on my desktop with OBS, that's kind of what it looks like. Yeah, it's kind of messed up. If I worked on it, I probably would be. But most of the time, I don't worry about it because most of the time for most games, I can capture the actual game window and it looks right. Okay, so he's making up notes. He becomes one of the notes, making up the chords. I existed inside the music. Wow, that's pretty powerful. Legato Software Products.
それぞれの悲しみがあって言えない涙がある In the rain 見えるものと見えぬもの静かに目を凝らして帰る場所
Alright guys, as tempted as I am to listen to that, we have that at the start, so it is really pretty music though. I gotta admit, I do like it.
まだ続けていたいって思うのね
Okay. The final note faded out, and the room was enveloped in silence. So now we're, look at here guys, it's the same day, it's night, you can see that out here, it's still raining, and now it's 10:40 at night. Holding our breath, neither one of us moved for a while. So they were playing music for like over 4 hours. Sounds like one of my Dead by Daylight sessions. But that silence was soon drowned out by the sound of the rain. That felt good. Leaning on the music stand, Forney sighed lazily with her eyes closed. As she sang, she also became a part of the music. When I first met Forney, she called herself the musical fairy, and I knew better than anyone that that wasn't a lie. I don't actually remember it very well. I had just moved to this apartment, and it was pretty busy. She simply explained that she was a musical fairy and lived here, and we just kind of ended up together. At first, I thought I was hallucinating, but she was real, right? But when Forney saw my fortelle and said the words, "Let's perform an ensemble," it didn't matter anymore. Ensemble, sorry. That's how amazing her voice was, and it still hasn't changed. The one unfortunate thing that was one unfortunate thing was that I was the only person who could see or hear her. Ah, so Forney almost sounds like she is a figment of her his imagination. Look at that, guys. Is she a figment of his imagination? One would think so. The unfortunate thing, I was the only person who could see or hear her. Yeah, that sounds like your imaginary friend. I remember having an imaginary friend when I was a kid, a young kid. Alright. Her voice was angelic. I know that sounds trite, but I don't know any other way to describe her voice. Anyway. Okay, so I really got to make an angelic voice. I can't do that. Forney opened her eyes as if shaking off the last of the reverberations. I was also deep in thought, but came back to my senses and took my fingers off the keys of the fortelle. Okay, I think I'll go to bed. Oh, is it that time already? Time passed quickly when I played together with Forney. It must have been because I was concentrating so hard, but when I snapped out of it, I felt tired. So I didn't do ensembles with Forney every day. It was always on Sundays. I'd finish reading Ari's letter, write a reply, and Forney would always say the same thing. Hurry up and let's do an ensemble. Don't forget to send that letter, okay? Yeah, I know. Her teeny body and childish mouth. I kind of like how she actually cares that he sends the letter to his girlfriend. Don't forget to send the letter. Her teeny body and childish mouth. Despite how she looked, Forney always tried to mother me. I won't say it suited her, but she was pretty adorable, and it was never unpleasant when she talked to me like that. That might be why she reminded me a bit of Ari's little sister, my other childhood friend, Torta. Good. Now then, good night. Yeah, good night. I even got used to Forney disappearing like that. She really was a strange creature, but somewhere in my heart was the desire to accept her for what she was. Thanks to her, I never felt lonely or isolated since I arrived in this town. Good night. Alright, the next day, 28th of November. There was a soft sound of flowing water. The sound of rain hitting the gutter. The light that reached me through the thin clouds was always a little subdued. I made to get up and turn on the light, but the shadow next to the desk stopped me. Hi! Good morning. I always say this, but you look like a child when you sleep. Doesn't everyone look like a child when they sleep? How should I know? The only sleeping face I've ever seen is yours. Anyway, if you would. She said this with evident satisfaction and fluttered her wings a few times, as if she were bored with talking. I picked Forney up and moved her to her favorite spot by the window. And Forney sat there swinging her legs as if she were bored. What time is it? A little after 9. I was going to play a prank on you if you didn't wake up. Too bad. I picked up the clock off the table and turned off the alarm. Maybe it's because I'm dreading what Forney will say or do, but I always wake up before the alarm goes off. I always got plenty of sleep. I turned on the alarm just to be absolutely sure. Well, I guess I'll get dressed. All right, don't forget the letter. I put it in my bag yesterday, Forney. And Forney nodded with satisfaction and looked back at the rain to signify that she had finished talking. What? Rain again today? The same as always. It's nice weather. The same as always. Rainy every day, huh? Do they live in Oregon? I got dressed quickly and headed for the door about 45 minutes later. I wasn't in the habit of eating breakfast myself, and Forney didn't eat, period. No, just like an imaginary friend. She doesn't eat, nobody else can see her, nobody else can hear her. So once I'd washed my face and gotten dressed, I was ready to leave. Yeah, I'm not so sure that Forney's not his imaginary friend, though she could be magical, I guess. The first thing I heard when I got outside was the rain hitting the cobblestone street. It wasn't a loud noise, but it was ingrained deep in my eardrums, asserting itself like dirt that wouldn't go away. The city of rain. People new to the city always think first of those words. There was certainly a time when people called it that, and the origin of the city's name comes from there as well. But nowadays it was the city of music. The fact was recognized by the people living here, and they were proud of it. The lines of shops were part of legacy as well. I could escape the rain under their roofs and shake off the droplets covering me. I shook my head lightly and brushed the droplets off my clothes. I'd gotten used to the city enough to be able to do this casually. The rain fell year-round, and probably because the residents were so used to it, nobody used an umbrella. Angel says, so we're assuming Chris's gender? I mean, it could be a girl, and girls can have girlfriends, 21st century, open mind. True, Angel, true. Yeah, we are assuming Chris's gender. Most Chris's I've known in my life are guys, but yeah, you could be right. I have known a girl or two named Chris. Christina, for example, short for Christina. Anyway, it took a week for my letter to reach her, and for her to send me words of meaning in return. I found myself imagining how I would spend that time. I was too used to this time. I was too used to this city. But I couldn't get rid of a strange feeling. Like this wasn't where I belonged. It was a strange feeling. I thought if Forney, Torta, and the letters from Ari weren't there, maybe time would stop. It sounds foolish, I know. And Emil says, excuse me. The voice of the stranger passing me from behind shook me out of my reverie, and I turned around. I'd like to mail a letter, if that's all right. Oh, right, I'm sorry. Thanks. He thanked me, put his letter in the mailbox, and walked away. How long had I been lost in thought? Torta and Forney had often told me it was a habit of mine to suddenly just zone out. I couldn't get too wet and catch cold. I decided not to think anymore and started walking unhurriedly down the road to the school. I arrived on campus a little after 10 o'clock. I see 10 o'clock right here. I still had 20 minutes before my private lesson, so I moved leisurely to the first hall. There weren't many students who came to school at this time, but a few did. You wouldn't see any first or second year students who had classes in the morning, but when you had become a third year, most of your lessons were private lessons and your mornings started later. Lessons began in the morning, but students quickly took up all the afternoon classes, so morning classes were mostly open. However, if you went with a second round of classes that started at 10:30, it wasn't too hard to wake up in the morning. So a bunch of night owls, it sounds like, over there at this school. I didn't like crowds, so I was happy to have a morning lesson. Beyond the hallways of the lecture rooms, it took several minutes to walk to the classrooms for private lessons. As might be expected from one of the best music schools in the country, it was on a fairly grand scale. It looks pretty fancy. Breathing the crisp and slightly humid morning air, I headed toward my classroom. With the language studies, vocal lessons, and the general studies that first years had to take, I could sense quite a few people near the lecture rooms. But all the private lesson rooms were soundproofed, so it was really quiet. After lunch, when things were liveliest. But I liked the morning air. The layers of compressed air seemed to press against my eardrums, and I felt subtle, faraway sound of rain on my skin. Excuse me. Knock on the door. I arrived 15 minutes before the allotted time of 10:30, and it looked like Miss Cordell wasn't there yet. She always came 10 minutes before the lesson, so I often arrived before her. Okay then. I pulled out a chair, got the Fortel out of its case, and began setting it up. There was already a Fortel set up, but I preferred my own. I focused on my fingers and lightly played a sound. I played the Fortel like that for a few minutes, and then heard the door behind me. Good morning. I don't know. What voice do I want to use for her? I don't know. Good morning. I turned around and returned her greeting. Don't mind me. Continue. Actually, I've already finished. I see. You're a little early today, aren't you? Miss Cordell looked at the clock on the wall and looked to me for confirmation. Yeah, well... We need to talk. Do you have someone in mind? We need to talk? Do you have someone in mind? Oh, a partner for the graduation ceremony. Yeah, there's a few visual novels that I've read, Angel, that have been pretty open about homosexuality and stuff. I've done a few of those visual novels, and the ones I've done have been pretty good. So yeah, there's a few of those on Steam. So Chris says, "Wait a minute, you mean a partner?" Yes, I'm sure you have someone in mind, right? Yeah, well, about that. You'll need time to practice together. So look, there isn't much time left. There's still a few months left. No, there's only 2 months left. That's less than a few... Oh, is it that soon? I know you're not good at keeping track of such things, but come on now. If you know that, why did you even bother asking me? Well, it's my job. So, are you even looking? Yeah, well, I suppose You're lying. I like it. Wow, she's pretty good. She just cuts him off. Well, you're lying. Jumping to conclusions like that, it was just like you, Miss Cordell. Why do you say I'm lying? I like to think I know you a little bit. Well, then don't ask. So I hit the mark, huh? Saying this, she smiled slightly and mussed up my hair. So she's playful with him. I liked it when Miss Cordell did this from time to time. When it came to music, she showed no compromise and treated students strictly. But that wasn't all there was to her. Many students thought that she was just a little bit too strict. In truth, even I thought that until I had private lessons with her. Yeah, you hit the mark. Whatever. Well, there aren't many who can work with your music. You're not very compromising. Yeah, well, that's the problem. I just laughed it off to escape the moment. I had a feeling that the professor was overestimating me. Among the many teachers of the school, Miss Cordell had the most faith in my abilities. But I didn't really see it in myself. The fortel is an instrument that requires magic, and its tone depends heavily on the one playing it. It's not like a piano or a cembalo, or, that are played simply by pressing the keys. Of course, the strength and touch and manipulation of the pedals change the sound, but that can't be compared to the individual differences of the fortel. You could say the difference in sound is comparatively close to a wind instrument, but it seems closest to the human voice. And the sounds that I played were held in high regard by Miss Cordell. It's based a lot on intuition, and it's not something that you are really aware of when you're playing. I thought I was just normal, but she was telling me that I was wrong. Chris, are you listening? Huh? Oh, sorry. I like your honesty, but you lose points for not listening to me during class. I'm sorry. Okay, for now, let's begin the lesson. Yes, ma'am. I answered her and took the sheet music out of my bag and set it on the stand. And Miss Cordell peeked at it over my shoulder. The same song as always? Yeah, it will depend on my partner, but for now, this is really the only one that I'm considering. Fine then. Play it from the beginning for now. Okay then, begin. Okay, so yes, we're gonna get a chance to play here. It looks like. I have a score. Oh, D. Oh my God, K. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. God dang. D K D K D K D K D K D K. I wasn't ready for that. I had to get 2 hands on my keyboard. Oops. Ah, no, come on! I knew this was gonna happen. I'm not used to these keys, for one. Oops. I messed that up. K, S, S, K, J, L. One thing I'm noticing, guys, is these keys. I wish you could set these keys. A plus sound? Really? How am I gonna hit all these keys? I gotta hit 2 at once. K, F, D, 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 D. Oh my God, I am terrible at this. K, D. Oh my God, really? I'll just hit the D's. I don't know what else to do. Listen, one thing I can tell though, guys, is that if you do this, it's actually going to play really pretty music. I could already tell that. D, S. Wait a minute. Freaking hell. D, D, J, K. Man, I am awful at this. This is going to take a lot of work. This isn't exactly the kind of visual novel that I'm used to. It requires actual skill. Yeah. Oh my God. Alright. I just about gave up. This is nuts. One thing I don't like the key placement here. The keys are all over the keyboard. Come on, man. K. K. D. See, you can tell that there's starting to be a rhythm here. And that's pretty freaking cool. Oops. Oops. That's S. Come on, man. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm not used to these keys at all. Yes, continue. No. I'm done. I don't know if you can set that up. I finished the song and turned around. That was horrible. Yeah, my teacher definitely has a lot more faith in me than I do at this point. That was absolutely pathetic. The cool thing I like about it is if you do it right, if you do the timing right, you're actually going to create a song. It's actually going to be rhythmic. I can tell that even as awful as I did at it, I could start to hear some of the chords going together to produce, you know, a pretty nice song. So I'm sure if you do it right, it'll sound really good. And she's like, it's no good. But you know that, don't you? Yes, ma'am. Good then. It's not a bad thing to fail in practice. But it is a bad thing to fail on a live stream. Saying this, the professor smiled softly as if she thought of something. The problem with you, Chris, is that you aren't focused enough on your goal. Meaning? You're making a mistake just by practicing the song without having decided on a partner yet. So, we're back here again, huh? I'm not saying it to annoy you. It isn't the time to talk about this anyway. I know. In that case, I'll believe you. Thank you. You have an idea, don't you? Yeah, well... Your friend Tortina? Yeah. She's graduating this year, isn't she? That's perfect, right? I'll keep that in mind while I think about it. I see. Okay then. I'll step in if it comes to it. What do you mean you'll step in? I'll ask a voice student. If you don't decide before this year's lessons are over, I'll decide for you. That's... You have no say in it. I'm sure it's difficult for you to look for a partner when you can't even play the song properly. Ouch! Even the freaking even the character in the visual novel is throwing insults at me for how bad I performed. Feeling a little agitated by her words, I replied, guys, I gotta say, I absolutely love the fact that it gives you game elements. It basically gives you, you know, kind of think of Guitar Hero. It gives you almost like Guitar Hero moments, which I was never good at, by the way. I never played it a whole lot. But a lot of people love, like, Guitar Hero. I never played it a lot, but I did play it at friends' house and stuff like that, and I was god-awful at it. So this game makes perfect sense that I would suck at this, too. But I do like the fact that the story completely changes based on how you perform your key roles to play the music. And I like that if you play well, you're going to actually hear some really good music, much like, I think, the old Guitar Hero games. That used to be so popular. Whatever happened to those? They used to be so popular. Anyway, feeling a little agitated by her insult, I replied, oops. That's not true. I see. I'll believe you, Chris. Decide soon on your own, then. Yeah, so she said it. I was at a loss for words, and she smirked at me. Anyway, you need to practice. It will be good to make your mistakes here. Once more from the beginning. Oh, no, guys. We are not going to do this again. Even after Miss Cordell left, I remained in the classroom to calm down after the excitement of playing. And then I remembered the repeated advice and thought about the future. It's not like I wasn't looking for a partner. I just wasn't very interested in it. I knew I didn't have that much time to spare, so I couldn't work seriously at it. Piova Communal School of Music. The Common School of Music was named after the city. It boasted the world-renowned facilities, and many famous musicians called it their alma mater. And with that tradition behind it, both entering and graduating were said to be difficult. Being one of the few Fortell students, it was easy for me to get in. And that is probably why I had such a hard time of it. And of course, I was given an appropriate task in order to graduate from the school. A graduation performance held in the school's concert hall. The graduation performance is judged by the alumni and active musicians gathered from around the country. Wow, that sounds like a lot of pressure. Some students stayed on at the school after failing their performance, but mostly inevitably quit on their own. On the other hand, there were those who did so well that they were instantly guaranteed success as professional musicians. The standards for graduation have always been high. Regardless, Miss Cordell said that I have a good chance of graduating. After hearing me play, how you doing, Kurumi? What's going on? Anyway, she says I have a good chance of graduating. I'd had it drummed into me that it was all about graduating. There were 2 rules for a Fortell performance, and no matter how skilled you were, you couldn't pass if you didn't fulfill those terms. First, the song performed had to be an original. I already had one, so there was no problem there. The next was the problem. The song had to be performed with a vocalist. Normally, a third-year voice student would be chosen as a partner, as vocalists also needed to perform to graduate. But the rules stated that the partner didn't need to be a voice student. That meant that it could be anyone, even someone outside of the school. That being said, pairing with someone not used to singing in front of an audience was like asking to fail. So I'd never heard of anyone pairing with anyone other than a student of the school. Well, it wasn't like I didn't have someone in mind, but there were things that made me hesitate to pair with her. The reason, I didn't even really know myself. I did appreciate her voice, and I'd known her since we were kids. We were still really close. So why, I asked myself, but I never came up with an answer. and the chimes ringing to signal noon soon brought me back to my senses. I hadn't made plans with her, but I went to the cafeteria to meet my childhood friend, and she was a partner candidate after all. So now we're going to meet Torta. Unlike how it was in the morning, a few students were out in the hallways chatting. Alright guys, so what I want to do here is I want to go ahead, I'm going to end the stream, but I want to take a look at a couple of things before we end the stream, because I'm sure anybody watching this video will want to know, A, can we change the keys? So can I change the keys that were given to me in the musical performance? And B, I'm sure people will want to know, what else was I thinking? There was something else I was thinking that we need to check. Difficulty, we can change the difficulty to easier, which is probably something I would want to do, as bad as I suck at this. But it doesn't look like there's any way to change these particular keys here, guys. Adventure, message display. Yeah, there's, I don't see any kind of a button to go into to change your keys. Autoplay, free play. Okay, so if we go back, oops, nothing else here would show. Let's go ahead and save it, guys. Let's go back. Return to title. Okay, another. Oh, I wanted to see if we could go practice. That's what it was. So obviously I can load my game there. I can start there. Album. We still don't have any songs. Oh, we do have this one. And that's just the, okay. Free play. Is this going to let us practice? Yeah, so you can go to whatever song you want. And you can try to play it. And this is where you could go and you could practice your just with a free play. So this is going to be important as well, because if you play the game, you know you're going to want to... Look how cool this is though, guys. That's really cool. I mean, I'm missing the chords here, but... I'm getting a little better. Still sucking, though. If they had multiple keys at once, it's going to be... And the plus, that makes no sense. Why would you have to hit plus? But based on the keys you press, see, I'm just spamming my keyboard here, it makes a different tone, and it kind of goes along with the music, which is really, really cool. I absolutely suck at this game. I was probably the wrong person to give a copy of this game to from the developer, because I absolutely suck with this kind of stuff. I'm sure if I practice it, I would get better. But one thing I do wish is that you had the ability to customize these keys. Like, for example, I can understand, like, D and A and S and stuff like that, and then J and K and L, and you could put both hands on the keyboard and I'm sure get good at it. But then there's keys like plus that just are completely out of whack. They make no sense. So I really wish you could customize. I really wish you could customize the keys. Anyway, I've already got more points than I did the first time, so I guess I am getting a little bit better. I'm not even playing the whole thing. But that part of it I like. I think a lot of people are really, really going to like this part of the game. For me, it's kind of frustrating because I'm not good at this kind of stuff. And you can see as you play as well, the evaluation. So right now I have 1 out of 8 stars or 1 out of 10 or whatever. So obviously I am screwing up. But that is really cool. I don't like the fact that I can't escape this, no. I couldn't escape it. I had to wait till the end of the song. So a couple things I'd like to see in this game is customizable keys. If I pay $40 for this game, yeah, I think that I'm going to not only want to have customizable keys, I also think I'm going to want to be able to play with a controller. Maybe, you know, a lot of the keys, hold the left stick up, right stick down, whatever. I think that is what a lot of people would want. So not only customizable keys allow you to play with a controller and hit buttons on the controller to match the buttons as they go. Probably asking too much, but I'm just saying for myself, if I was going to play this game, if I bought this game, I would hope for a $40 price tag. This game not only would have customizable keys for a keyboard, but allow you to play with a controller and set those buttons up as well to whatever you prefer. I would feel ripped off if I had to go and hit the buttons that they demand you hit that are spread out and kind of don't make a whole lot of sense. Especially like the plus key and stuff like that is completely off the mark. Some of the keys I think would be pretty easy to get used to, but I just think that you should have customizable keys for a game like this. Anyway, guys, my first impression is it looks like a pretty cool little game. I'm sure it's a long story. It looks like it's going to be, I don't know, I have no idea. I'm guessing it's going to be well over 10 hours to play this thing fully through, at least on the live stream where you're reading and stuff. And I don't know if it's worth $40. I can't recommend it without customizable keys and the ability to play with a controller, should you want to. But that's just my own personal opinion. I haven't played a whole lot of these games, and I would never really get good at games like Guitar Hero and stuff like that. So, obviously, the game, because it's oriented and the game's going to go based on how you perform, I'm probably due to get one of the bad innings. I don't know that I'm going to play this entire game. But my first impressions are it looks pretty cool. The music looks really, really beautiful. And the story, I'm sure, is going to be really cute. But the thing that I don't like is it doesn't look like it has customizable keys. And I think for the price tag they're asking, that should certainly be in the game. And the ability to play with a controller. What do you guys think, though? Let me know, guys, down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this stream up. This has been Symphonic Rain, my first impressions. Probably not the best guy to give this game to just because I suck at these kind of games. But I do love visual novels. I love a good visual novel, and I can definitely appreciate really pretty music like this game seems to have. Alright guys, we'll be back later with yet another indie game review. I'm going to eat some lunch. I'll be back in probably an hour or so with another indie game review. I have a lot of them to go through, and maybe some more Dead by Daylight sometime later this evening. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Peace.